And what was that job?
BoxyCharm. I had a toxic relationship.
Oh, okay.
And we went our separate ways, and we had actually owned a house together. And I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm just gonna blow through the money, and I'm just not gonna. Being a woman has been the most difficult factor, I feel like. Which sounds weird because it's the beauty industry, so it shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But I did work with a lot of brands that experienced issues of moving forward in their, growing their brands because they would get rejected by retailers for being too Hispanic, for lack of a better way of explaining it. Most products that you import from China back then, and people don't know this, they think it just started now.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been dealing with this for years since he first initiated it. We had parties over there, and they'll be like, it's just your tias and your tios, right? That could happen even when you haven't launched the product. So imagine after you launch a product. Your kids grow up so fast. I was a teen mom, so like when my oldest was growing up, I feel like I didn't really appreciate the little moments as much as like how I'm doing now with my second one. When she launched Alamar, I was already in my product development phase. So I was, head of product development. It was me, myself, and I. And if you ask me like, would I want to change that? I would say no, because it was literally what got me to where I'm at right now. Like I would go through it again just to make sure that I had my business.
Helen Mantilla is the CEO and founder of her very own product development powerhouse, HM Agency, where she and her team work with indie brands like Alamar Cosmetics, Luna Magic, Dominique Cosmetics, and my brand as well, to the biggest names like Ipsy, Juvia's Place, Alley-Oop, Urban Decay, just to name a few. Above all services she offers, her mero mole, her special sauce, is bridging the gap between indie brands and major brand subscription boxes like Ipsy and BoxyCharm. Recently, she launched Innovate The Label, a marketplace that elevates indie beauty and showcases innovative products to the forefront. Think of it like a monthly beauty box, but with the added benefit of choosing all the products and without any extra strings, fees, or commitments. It's her mission to, in her words, empower dreamers and hustlers with the insights they need to launch, grow, and flourish. As an indie brand founder and beauty lover like myself, Helen's unique path inspires me, and I feel that her story is so important to be told for all other Latinos, Latinas, Latinx beauty lovers like ourselves. So thank you, Helen, so much for being here and sharing your story with us. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, if you love beauty, culture, and a good success story, get ready. So Helen, how are you feeling?
I'm really excited to be here and honored, and it just feels like a wow moment that somebody cares enough to invite me to do this. So, Sergio, thank you so much.
No, thank you too, girl. We're out here. We're out here in the trenches.
Yes.
So, in the beginning of your career, well, actually before your career, who was Helen growing up? What were you like in school?
I feel like my youth kind of like went by in a blink of an eye, just because when I was 16, I was a mom.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. My daughter, I had her when I was 16, and now she's 17. So watching her grow and seeing her where she is now, I'm like, how the did I? Because I can't picture her as a mom right now. Helen growing up, I would say it was kind of like a tough time. Some dark moments, some really great moments. But overall, I feel like it was like where my hustle started.
Did that lead you to you graduated from Miami College? Was it Miami-Dade College?
Well, so I went to, first I went to FIU for like a summer thing. And intentionally, I was going to do my whole study there because I did have a full ride scholarship because I had a 3.5 GPA. So on paper, I was like the best student.
I feel you because that's how I was. I applied to 5 of the top in Florida, and I got into all of them.
Really?
Yeah, I should have went to FIU.
Hold on. High five.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I wanted to, but I feel like because I had my daughter, she was already like 3 at the time. I was like, how is that? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, how am I going to go to Florida State, which is where I wanted to go? And like, do I take her with me? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I have to do a local thing. But even that was hard because we didn't have a lot of money. So even though I had this full ride scholarship, it was like I didn't have a car. So I was like, how am I going to get to FIU? And I think they did have online courses back then, but I guess it wasn't what it is today. So after that summer internship, which most of the time I either got dropped off by my parents or like went on a public bus or something, I was like, let me just be realistic and like go to Miami-Dade. And like I started that, but then again, it just was always like something that got in the way or made it difficult for me. So I did a year, I want to say, at Miami-Dade, and then dropped out.
Oh, okay. But see, did you have a plan, or were you just like, I'm gonna figure it out from here?
I did not have a plan.
Okay, this is cool. So then how did you stumble into beauty?
Oh my God. Like accidentally. I honestly think that it's like God's plan, if I want to say it that way, because and I just kind of let myself get taken to where I'm supposed to be. After college, I always have had a job since I was 16, but there was a specific job I had that was called Champions Direct, and they sold products. You're not going to know what it is.
Yeah.
No.
I'm like, okay,
No. But they are kind of important in my story because it was a Mexican man who owned the company, first of all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he wasn't the best, but he was very successful because he would sell products like kitchen parts and products like KitchenAid and things like that. He would sell them on Amazon and on eBay. And he made millions every month doing this. So that's kind of where my kind of like entrepreneurial brain started, because I was like, man, if he could do it on eBay and Amazon, it's so accessible to anybody to do. I was like, and I learned a little bit more about what it is to sell online and, like that. I was like, I could do this, why not? And after, sorry, to answer your question, I got fired from that job.
Oh no, what happened?
Girl. They had a warehouse day and we had to do inventory. So I was always more of a like on the computer, like in the office type girly. And they had like these monthly inventory days where they needed all hands on deck. And I was just like, I wasn't meant to live this life.
You said the forklift is not for me.
And it's hot in Miami. Like they have no AC in the warehouse. And I was just like, I'm sick. And they literally told us like that, prepping us to that day, like nobody can be sick, nobody can call out, and if you do, like you're done.
And you didn't care.
And I did because I needed the job, but at the same time I was like, it's just not my life. Like I cannot.
No, but I feel you. When you feel something like in your bones that like this just isn't right. Like
yeah.
No, I feel that.
And I was like, this isn't in my job description. First of all, like I didn't get hired for this. So like the fact that you're forcing everybody to do this. Like, the reason why I feel like the story is kind of important is because that same day when I got fired, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? Because I still have, a kid at home. I have bills to pay. I don't know what I'm going to do. Literally walking to my car, a friend of mine called me. And it gives me goosebumps to this day because I'm just like, how did it play out so perfectly? She calls me and she's like, hey, I don't know if you're still looking for a job, but if you're interested, come in tomorrow. And I was like, you're kidding me.
Holy.
What? And I think that day I cried because I was like, I cannot believe that I'm literally being fired from this one job, crossing the street, not knowing what I was going to do. And she calls me, she's like, come in tomorrow because I'm the hiring manager and like, I'm going to pretend to interview you because we went to high school together.
Oh, okay.
And like, you're hired. And I was like, and they were going to pay me better. So I was just like, what
even
in the
better.
world?
And what was that job?
BoxyCharm.
Okay, wow.
Yes.
Earlier we were talking about beauty and getting into makeup. And yeah, you had mentioned that.
That I wasn't really into makeup at all. Like, at all. Basic lip gloss, whatever, mascara. That was the end of my makeup endeavors. But I kind of was like pushed into this world. And back then when I got that job, I wasn't like over the top giddy excited because I was excited because I had a job, but it wasn't like, oh my God, I get to work for BoxyCharm because BoxyCharm wasn't what it is today.
Not me asking your age, but
yeah, girl.
What year was it? Because From my memory, being a Gen Zer, you know, maybe like 2014-ish,
Yes,
maybe.
that was, you hit it right on the head.
Oh,
Yes,
oh, really?
yes.
Okay. Oh my God.
That's when
'Cause
I started
was
working there.
That or oh wow. Okay.
It was either 2013 or 2014.
You know what? I'm lying. Maybe not then. Maybe like 15, 16. No, I feel like that's when it was.
Yeah, 16 is when we blew up.
What was it like before it blew up?
It was like a couple of us just like in an office off of, I don't know if you're familiar, but Miami Gardens. So it was just like almost ratchet warehouse, kind of sketchy. Because when I got there and for the interview, I was like, girl, where did I land? Like,
You're like, are you sure you're going to pay me this much? What's going on?
I was like, what do y'all do here again? It felt sketchy. Like,
and at the time, did you even know, I mean, what BoxyCharm was? Or
no, she literally explained it to me that day. Like, hey, so here, this is the assembly line. They had the assembly line right in the back. And like, it was like temp workers that would fill the boxes and stuff.
Oh, okay.
And so I didn't go in like at the very beginning because they were, I think like maybe on year 2 or 3 when I got there. But there weren't a lot of people. And the people that were working in the back were like temp, you know, a agency that they would use. So she hired me for customer service. So it was fun. Good days.
What's like a top moment or something that you feel like sticks with you from your BoxyCharm days?
Oh my God. Top moment. I would say there was highs and lows.
Yeah.
Because it was a startup at the time. So it's like we wore so many hats. But what anybody who's worked there, and you're talking to Gaby tomorrow, she comes from BoxyCharm too. What all of us will always say is like, we call it BoxyCharm University.
Oh, okay.
So most of us didn't go to college or, you know, university, but we learned way more, I feel like, there than I feel like we would have probably ever learned, you know, in a textbook, because we had to like play so many different roles. So, I mean, I guess like a high point, I'm trying to think like a good, for me personally, it was moving from customer service to brand partnerships. Like, I guess just my journey of like, I started customer service. I went to brand partnerships where I would get brands in the box. And then I worked my way to product development. So it kind of like played a big role in like who I am today in general and what I do today.
So your mom is from Tlaxcala, Mexico, and your dad is from Ecuador. So what are some of like your favorite memories growing up with both cultures?
Well, I will say, so growing up in Miami, my parents came here. They met in New York. And yeah, they have their own story. But my mom came here alone. So we don't have a big family here in the United States. The closest is in Naples. So I grew up here almost isolated from both cultures, really, like my Mexican and my Ecuadorian side. It was just as much as my mom would kind of share and like, you know, or my dad. My tendency was more towards my Mexican side just because I would go like in the summers to Mexico and like I was really close to my family in Mexico, but not as close as I wish I would have been because we grew up like all separate. So I have a big family in Mexico. You know how they say like we had parties over there and they'll be like, it's just your tias and your tios, right?
Yeah, and it's the whole neighborhood. Yeah.
Yes. So I have a huge family. It's just weird because here in Miami, I had it was my brother, my mom, my dad.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
it was weird. And plus everybody here in Miami, the majority are Cubans. Or if they are, you know, from anywhere else. Like I didn't meet a lot of Mexican or Ecuadorians here in Miami. So it was very weird growing up in that sort of sense.
This is my second time coming to Miami. And I hear that a lot, like, oh yeah, there's a lot of Cuban people down there. And I'm like, I mean, I don't know if I could spot it. You know what I mean? Like, don't go. But I mean, so you really feel like there isn't like a big population of like Mexican people here?
No, not at all. Not at all. In fact, like I kind of feel sometimes more Cuban than I do Mexican or Ecuadorian.
Gotcha. Because of how you grew up here. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So, did that really feel very, very isolating, or was it just something that you didn't think of?
Very isolating, especially during the holidays. That's when it hit me the most. Since it was just us, it just didn't feel as special sometimes. Like I kind of wanted the holidays to like blow over us because I was like, I don't know, I just want to go back to school and be with my friends.
Okay, no, but see, it's understandable though.
Yeah. But then I hear about people that have big families, and then, there's always the drama and the fights, and this person doesn't like that person. So I'm like a little envious. Like, I wish I had that drama, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's like, I guess
maybe you
both
dodged the bullet.
sides. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Working in this industry, have you ever felt that you've been treated very differently just for being Latina?
Yes and no at the same time. Thinking about it, I've always felt it more as just being a woman in general.
Okay.
Like, if I had to think about pinpointing something, it's just being a woman has been the most difficult factor, I feel like. Which sounds weird because it's the beauty industry, so it shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But when I started in the beauty industry, it was like dominated by men. And usually it was like male owners or like, male leaders. And I think about it a little bit differently now that I'm not working. Back then, and I was a lot younger too. So that could be a factor too. But I just felt like it was unfair because we had been there from the very beginning and we wanted to be part of that like growth, not just in like being there and experiencing it, which was nice, but like also, do feel like it was a good, like something that pushed me to want to like start my own thing and like, I don't have that issue anymore. Another thing that got me out was I had a toxic relationship.
Okay.
And we went our separate ways and we had actually owned a house together. And so when we sold the house, I had, a somewhat of a something to start something with, money.
Okay.
And I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm just going to blow through the money and I'm just not going to, this is the perfect chance. So that was really the bigger reason why I took that leap, because otherwise I feel like it's hard to, especially if you don't know if it's your business is going to succeed or not,
Was it essential for you to build something like Innovate the Label, a place that focuses on Latina, Latinx-owned brands? And where did that idea come from?
I do think it was very essential because, like I said, I experienced more of issues about just being a woman in general, but I did work with a lot of brands that experienced issues of moving forward in their, growing their brands because they would get rejected by retailers for being too Hispanic, for lack of a better way of explaining it.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I don't know. I guess I've always been that way, that I'm just like, if I have a problem, I'm going to try to just solve it and just be like, well, I guess I'll just start my own retailer then.
You see, exactly. You're like, I'm going to start my own agency. I'm going to start my own retailer.
And
like,
bring
what's
in all
next?
my brand friends.
Yes, honestly. What's maybe the biggest lesson you've been learning so far about starting Innovate?
I feel like I'm at Innovate University right now.
Oh. Yeah.
Learning something new every day. I have never been so big on the marketing side of things. Like, I've always been more like a business development side. But yeah, having your own brand, I feel like one of the most essential parts is like marketing it, doing ads, how are you going to get this traffic, generating email lists, sending out those emails, and, all of that. So those have been, the things that I've been learning the most right now.
Someone who's doing that as well, that was one of the like biggest lessons I learned early on, is that like no one ever tells you this, but you need traffic. If no one knows you exist, no one will buy.
And really what I'm learning now, I want to teach the brands that I work with in case they're not doing those same things. Like, we could help each other out. I've always felt like, uplifting my fellow Latinos.
My next question is, if you were to launch a beauty brand today from scratch, what would your focus be and what would you maybe avoid?
We were talking about something like this. People have always asked me, like, why don't you start your own brand? I mean, you're a product developer. You have all the contacts, all the connections, all of the things.
That's very true. You're very, like, yeah.
It seems obvious for me to do that, right? But then I have seen the struggles on the brand partner side, and I'm just like,
yeah, it's like, do I really want to go through that?
Work. Yeah, it is a lot of work. But if I did start a brand, I would probably focus a lot on trademarking the name, number one.
Okay.
And then I guess something I wouldn't do, I kind of would like for whatever business endeavors that I do to be in a way that I don't have to like step on people to get to that final destination or thing. So I just would want to keep it that way, if that makes sense.
I mean, to me, it does, because I've seen people do things that at least I would like to think that I would never do to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some people do things to get ahead. That
Yeah.
I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Is there an example where you're like, where you've seen some shit and you're like,
That might be a flaw for me in a way, because I feel like a lot of times people who do get ahead, it's because they were able to do those kind of things. Like, for example, like what they say is like hire fast, fire fast. And it's like, for
Oh.
me, it's really hard for me to fire people. Like, because I guess I'm more of a type of person that thinks like, you know, if there's something you're doing wrong, there has to be a way for you to be able to be better at that thing versus just being like, nah, no sirves. Hire
okay.
somebody else, you know, like that I feel like it would be the most difficult thing for me to do. And for me, I have more of like a family business situation right now. So like everybody that works for me is like my brother, my sister-in-law, my cousin. So I don't know if that's like,
I feel like that must make it
makes
more
it
complicated.
Yeah. So it's like, but at the same time, in a way, you can talk to each other kind of like more straightforward and like a little more bluntly and like, but you know that, you know, I'm not going to fire you, which is maybe a double-edged sword.
No, you're not wrong. And what I've always thought, I mean, I haven't gone into corporate America, but I'm just like all these formalities. I'm like, you know, just go straight to the point.
Honestly.
That's why I love working with you guys, because I'm like, I can just, you know, say what I need to say, and like, you know, I'm not being rude or being like, per my last email, you know, I don't need to do that. So I like that. So I understand why. Yeah, there's definitely good and bad.
Pros and cons.
Yeah. We kind of already brushed on why, or like what really motivated you to kind of go out there on your own. Are there other businesses out there like yours?
Yes and maybe no, because I feel like most agencies that are like product development agencies focus on just that one thing, but we do also like kind of like help you sell those products that we just helped you develop to subscription boxes. So I feel like we are kind of unique in that sense, and I have not actually seen any other agency that sells products to subscription boxes. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen them.
Let's say for someone who really doesn't know anything about product development in the beauty world, how does that normally go along? Like, do people do the brands contact agencies, or do they have their own people?
A sort of answer to that question is like people, like we have a specific type of client, because if you are a bigger brand, you probably have, you know, hundreds of employees, and you have somebody that focuses 100% on product development. So you don't really need an outside agency. We're more so for smaller niche brands that don't have those departments and, you know, need that extra help because you can't do everything, you know, yourself. So
What is one thing that you see that a lot of brands maybe get wrong or could improve on when developing products? Yeah, basically, like, what do you wish that brands would improve on product development wise?
it depends on what kind of brand we're talking about. In general, I would say packaging is really important. And if you don't have the means to do like custom packages because their minimum orders are over 20,000 units, whatever, you still like should work with what you have. And like, I feel like you do a really great job at that, honestly. Like your packaging could still look really cute if it's not fully custom. It's all about like your design and your, you know, your branding and like your color story and just making sure that everything kind of like works together. I would say that's one of the biggest things for me. It's like packaging, especially if your formula is really good, because unfortunately, people will not give it a shot if the packaging I feel like is not nice, because they'll think that it's cheap, automatic. Like they won't even want to give it a chance. So, you know, in the world we live in, packaging matters.
What's one thing about the beauty industry that would maybe like blow people's minds if they knew how it actually worked?
Ooh, that's a good
So
one.
like a fun fact, or
yes. I feel like people don't know that most of the time a product comes to play because of like what we call a benchmark.
Okay, yes. This is good.
Yes. So for people that don't know, a benchmark is a starting point. A lot of times what people do is, they'll give you color benchmarks. So maybe something of an existing product that is out there, but they want to tweak something about it or how they would make it better or improve it. And then same thing goes with packaging. They'll use somebody else's packaging and that's their benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
So I have encountered people who want to trademark packages and trademark this and that. And it's like, it's really expensive, not realistic for a small brand. And it doesn't matter anyways, because it's like the industry is going to dupe it in one way or the other. So I would say just don't even focus too much about like thinking. I think about it more like it's flattering.
I would not imagine like spending a lot of time and money trying to like, oh, this is my, because people are gonna dupe it, and also everything's already been done. We're trying to figure out new ways to do different things, but it's like, sweetheart, like we've been doing lashes, eyeshadow, blush, lipstick for hundreds of years.
Yes. And it is also weird, like, because even when you're not even out in the market yet with a certain product, it could still be kind of like made before you launch it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tell me about it.
Yeah. I know you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But isn't it crazy that could happen even when you haven't launched the product? So imagine after you launch a product and someone's already seen it. Like,
yeah.
I think another thing people don't notice or realize is that vendors work with several brands. So it's like, they're showing you the same starting formula as they're probably showing, especially if it's like a library formula, they're probably showing it to all of their other clients, and whoever's going to pick up on it picks up on it and launches it. Like, that's the thing too.
Wait, you just went to, what's it called? Cosmoprof, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Cosmoprof. Is that the place where people go to find those libraries, or I mean, I know you go there to find vendors and stuff and network, right? But do those vendors like kind of shop around those like libraries you said, or how does that like?
Yeah, I would say every year the vendors bring kind of like their most newest innovative formulas. So it kind of explains why a lot of times you see brands launch the same thing at the same time
Right.
in different colors and in different packaging. So a lot of it does have to do with the vendor itself. So yeah, I would say Cosmoprof is a good place to find vendors. If you do like pre-book meetings with them, they'll sit down and they'll show you like their newest innovations and things like that. So it's fun for that too.
Yeah, so actually talking about packaging, this is something I really wanted to ask you. I saw this one guy really tearing apart the lipstick lesbians for their component. I mean, for their dual-ended like lipstick thing that they have for I forget their name brand, but for their
it's not lipstick lesbians.
I don't think so. Because from what I know is that they had the brand before they got viral and before they started the career. But anyway, so he was like, she's over here claiming about being a product developer, this, that, and the other thing. And look at her component. You can find this on Alibaba for like 80 cents or something. Like, don't believe her. She's a fraud, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, me who started on Alibaba, I don't think I've said it before, like out loud to people. But to be honest, like when you don't have connections and you don't have anyone else to ask, like you Google stuff, you can find, there's like a directory. I found that afterwards. But the thing that will pop up is Alibaba. And there's a lot of shady vendors on there. And I know, you've told me. And even like I remember seeing a listing after the fact. Like they stole like 2 photos of, I would take my own product photos for the lashes. They had it on there and I was like, first of all, how did you even find it? Because like how? It's not even like a big thing, I was like, where'd you get this from? And it wasn't the same vendor. So I was like very confused. I was like, what? But no, like I guess my question is kind of for you to maybe help clarify what the reality is. Because I didn't like that he did that to her because I'm like, I bet you that's not reality. Like
I feel like components, like in general, can be really expensive if you want to do like custom molded components. And like I said before, I feel like you don't really need to do that. You can take a stock component and like make it your own in your own way, especially if that's like, the means of what you can do for now, right? We're not these huge companies that can just make everything so fully custom. I don't agree with that, like judging her based on, okay, if you do have all this knowledge, then why is your packaging like this? It's like, it's deeper than what you might think. Like, I'm pretty sure she would prefer to have something more custom, but it can be very expensive. But I'm judging on, I've seen quite a few videos of theirs, and I do feel like she has like a lot of really good knowledge. So I don't, I'm not with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that was my thing where I'm like, yeah, you can go to that website and you will find like these vendors are duping all of those things, or there are a lot of stock components. So it's like, yeah, these are very accessible, available to different,
Yeah.
vendors or whatever. So it's like,
I think after a while, even the custom components become stock components in their, within, in China.
yeah.
Everything comes from China at the end of the day, even if it says made in Italy. So it becomes, so it's just like, yeah, you can pay for custom packaging, but it'll become one day, probably, you'll see it, somebody else will be using it, And she even did a video about that. But one thing, I guess, like, kind of like not the same thing, but different. In 2016, when influencers were so judgmental on brands and indie brands, and they were so quick to be like, this brand is whatever. And then they became beauty brand owners themselves. That to me was like, and then they came out with certain products that I was like, y'all were talking all that smack, and look at what your stuff looks like. Now you kind of understand
shady.
why. So it's like, you can't really judge somebody in something where you don't know why it is what it is, because you're not in that situation. So it's like,
True.
yeah.
What's a high or maybe like a happy moment from a deal or a special project that just had you starstruck and just in disbelief of like, oh my God, this is really happening?
So I would say definitely that first time after launching HM Agency, getting that first purchase order from a big subscription box, and like feeling like, oh my God, this is really like a legitimate business. Like this could go somewhere if I just, it's a chance, it's a door.
Getting that PO, do you remember what brand that was with?
So that was actually with Alamar.
Alamar, okay.
Yeah.
And is that the moment where you felt like this was it? Or was there like another moment where you knew that this was the right path?
I feel like that was the moment that I was just like, okay, so a big subscription box is giving me an opportunity, even though after, I left, that was such a big moment for me, because I wasn't, like, I knew my agency was going to be a product development agency that helps Latino-owned brands, because most of my clients were Latino or Latina anyways. But this kind of made it full circle for me, in that BoxyCharm was willing to still work with me even after I left BoxyCharm. I left in good terms, which kind of helped.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I didn't know if it was gonna be a conflict of interest, that they would still want to work with me even after I used to work there. So just having that be that first PO, that first order that I got for a Latina-owned brand, I felt like, okay, now I need to like push forward.
Yeah,
like,
push
this is
forward,
it.
continue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love everything you and Alamar have done. How did you guys meet? Like what's the story behind that?
I feel like a lot of people don't know, but we used to work together at BoxyCharm, and we weren't really friends at BoxyCharm, but not in a way where like we didn't like each other. It was just like we were in different departments,
Yeah.
and whatnot. So we didn't really like cross paths very often. So we weren't like work besties. But when she launched Alamar, I was already in my product development phase. So I was, head of product development. It was me.
Period. Me, myself, and
Me,
I.
myself, and I. And that kind of started our journey together, because I've been with her since that first launch of, she launched the Reina del Caribe palette at BoxyCharm. That was, she was able to launch the palette while she worked there. And they also put the palette into the subscription box. So she had a really good, like, launch.
A really good launch. That's really nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Period.
And even that, we were like, I can't believe that, like, they're letting, like, that's why I'm like, well, BoxyCharm gave us a lot of really good opportunities. I feel like today, maybe they probably wouldn't do that because of how corporate they are, of like,
okay, right,
letting
right.
somebody who works at the company launch a product and a brand in their box. But, they did at that point, and it was really pivotal for both of us.
Has there been an absolutely like very dark moment where you maybe questioned everything? What happened and how did you, make it out from there?
Ooh, yes.
That's a doozy.
Yeah. Well, so I did tell you about my toxic ex relationship.
Right.
It was very, very toxic. That was one of the darkest moments for me, like in my life period. The way I see it now, that was what kind of like got me to start my business in a way also, because since we didn't work out, we sold the house that we had bought together and we did make some kind of money off of it. And that was what funded my beginning of my journey. So it's kind of like if that would not have happened, then I probably wouldn't have. So it's like it's good it's happened, but it was the dark period.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's like one of those things. I don't know.
It's como dicen, like when one door closes, the other one opens.
Yes.
One thing I feel like I've been seeing myself is like anything worthwhile or anything good not only takes time, but it often comes from something that you sacrificed or something painful. I'm glad that the light at the end of the tunnel was the initial start of this wonderful business. So
Right. And if you ask me, like, would I want to change that? I would say no, because it was literally what got me to where I'm at right now.
It
So
was
it's
the
like,
tipping
I would
point.
go through it again just to make sure that I had my business.
Yeah, period. Anything. We do anything for beauty.
Yes.
No, just kidding. Okay, so what's been the most exciting product or project that you've worked on thus far, and why that one?
Oh, wow, that's easy.
Okay.
The Encanto collection with Disney
Oh,
and
okay.
Alamar, that was definitely one of the biggest collections that we've launched and been part of. So that was really exciting. If you would have told me when I was little that we were going to work with Disney, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah,
in
girl,
a million
Disney.
years. Like, and it's a Hispanic film, Encanto, you know? Like, how big is that?
What was the most exciting part about that whole experience?
The most exciting part would be like seeing it all come together, being part of it, and just seeing how I kind of felt like if we could do this thing in product development, like we've reached like max level. Like we could do anything now.
I mean, right? I remember, just seeing the product layout photos, of like the whole collection. It's beautifully done. And like when I was researching for this, I was just like, wow, like I didn't get a chance to enjoy it. But I'm looking at the photos, I'm like, wow, like I'm proud for both of you for that. Like just Jeff's kid, the tie between that story, that film, and then, a Latina brand. I would imagine that introduced Alamar to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I would say for sure it did. We had interest from Target after that. Was it after or before? No, I can't remember. I want to say it was after, during, something like that. But like, I think it was after. And they had. I'm pretty sure like that they had heard of the brand because of that campaign. So that was pretty huge.
And it really is huge because they could have went to, and insert whatever big, huge brand.
Right.
But they chose like an independent Latina-owned brand, which is beautiful.
Yes.
I'm glad that happened. What would you say, like from your point of view, what was the most challenging part about that experience?
I would say like being a small team, because it was me with Talia, my brother, and her graphic designer, who did that beautiful packaging design. Like she killed it.
Ooh.
Being a small team and us having to juggle, like, because Disney's no joke. Like they have a lot of requirements, so they require like certain inspections done at the manufacturing facilities. You have to give them a lot of like paperwork, and like it took longer than we've ever taken on any collection or any product because of all of the different things that they require. So that was the only thing, is like being a small team, but we killed it.
What's maybe something about that process, like working with like IPs like that for, a brand? What would you say is maybe something that people don't really think about that is maybe important or difficult? Or because was this your first time collaborating like that with an IP?
Yes. So they have a lot of like things. So once you submit like a design or artwork, like I remember one of their rules was like their logo can't be like next to yours. It has to be like significantly separated, because they don't want people to think that there's that much of an affiliation. Like it is a collab, but it's not like Disney is not Alamar.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Same thing with like their characters. Like they're very, very specific about like the size of it, the proportion of like one character to the other, and things like that. So it's like a lot of like little nitpicky things, but it makes sense when they kind of like explain it to you.
I love this interview. But in your Bold Journey interview, they asked you about imposter syndrome, and you said the doubts still creep in now and then. but I've built a toolkit of strategies and a network of support that helps me push through. So to all the moms out there chasing their entrepreneurial dreams, remember that you are capable, you are strong, and you belong in the world of business just as much as anyone else. For someone who is both a mom and an entrepreneur, what has been the most effective strategy in your toolkit that consistently works in grounding you or maybe getting you back on your feet?
Work-life balance is a really big thing for me. Like, I've been in a point where sometimes I put too much of my time in my work, and then I feel like, I need to give my kids a little bit more time too. I have a great husband that helps with that, but I would say like what brings me always out of that like imposter syndrome a lot of times is like spending that extra time with my kids and being like, wait a minute, I made it this far, and like they really do help me kind of like reset.
Reset. Yeah. No, I feel that. You also had said that the balancing act between business and family was real. There were days. You're like, yes, Helen.
That is it. Yeah.
There were days when I questioned whether I was giving my best to both roles. Obviously, I'm not a mother. And as a man, I know that I may not fully understand everything, but for other mothers who are out there who are hustling, what's like a good piece of advice that has worked for you that maybe isn't often discussed?
It's like I'm still trying to get it together.
You're like, actually, can someone tell me?
Yeah, if you have advice, leave it in the comments below.
Yes, that would honestly be really good because that's what I thought about this question where I'm like, it may not be for me, but I know if this lands to other mothers or, other women, like.
I would say, I guess one thing that I do kind of have the privilege of knowing is like that your kids grow up so fast. I was a teen mom, so like when my oldest was growing up, I feel like I didn't really appreciate the little moments as much as like how I'm doing now with my second one, because I'm older and I've seen my oldest daughter grow up, and I'm just like, man, time is a thief, So I think that is kind of like the kind of like a blessing in disguise too, is that because I've kind of like have seen how quickly they grow up, that I, appreciate my time with both of them now a lot more. Like, even though my oldest one is 17, I still kind of like sometimes, and I might be weird, but I like stare at them. I'm like,
no, but
I look them in the eyes and they're like, why are you looking at me like
No, I was just thinking about that. Like, no, definitely you're trying to, disfrutar el momento, like to, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think that's great advice, I would imagine, to, take a step
Ground
back.
yourself.
Right? Yeah, ground yourself. Yeah. Okay, so fun one. What's one Latina mom saying or belief that you swear by, either in business or in life?
Oh man, what would it be? Oh, okay. I don't know if it's a Latina mom thing, but I'm not too close to my dad's side of the family. But there is one thing that my grandfather told me once when I was like 5, and I don't know why I remember it. But he would say, "No te preocupes, ocúpate." So it's like there's no sense of like worrying. That in itself is like a second punishment. Worrying about the situation and the problem and things like that. It's like, what can you do right now that can help you solve that problem?
I love that. I need that. Yeah.
And I tell my kids that too. Well, my oldest one, she understands now, but I'm like, there's no sense of worrying about something that's not going to solve your problem. You think of things that are going to solve your problem.
Think of the solutions, not just, I have this problem.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, I love that. I'm going to start. You need to put that on a t-shirt.
Yes.
What is your take on the whole tariff situation that's going on due to the current administration's mess? And yes, I said mess because it's ridiculous. It is a tax on. Okay. You please enlighten us and educate us as what is going on and what it means.
Well, it started during his first term.
Oh.
Let's not forget about the first term.
Please remind me because I don't know.
I feel like most people don't know this, but the only reason I do because I was in product development during his first term. And before his first term, you could bring in products from China and not pay any tariffs. Like it was like tariff free, or small like percentages of like the harbor. I don't know what they call it, like little amounts.
The U.S. Customs, is that separate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So And then he took office and he proposed that. I think it was like 20% when he started it back in 2018, I want to say. I'm not sure the exact year, but he imposed a 20% tax on China. So most products that you import from China back then, and people don't know this, they think it's just started now.
Yeah,
Yeah. We've been dealing with this for years since he first initiated it. It reminds me of like what he did with TikTok. It's like, he started that problem, and now he wants to act like he's the savior.
Yeah.
No, ma'am. So it's been a problem, but then when he took office this time, it became a nightmare for me and for our industry. Because we went through like a roller coaster of like ups and downs, and he put it up one day, and then he's putting the tariffs down, and then one day, I don't know, I don't even know half the time what's going on, and I feel like I had such a mental like block this first half of the year because it was just like kind of stressful because you can't in business like plan out your year if you don't know what it's going to look like when you have to process those products through customs. So it's like, how are we going to do analysis of like financial, how much we're going to make off of this if we don't even know how much we're going to pay because it's so up and down. Before it was very simple. It was like, if it comes from China, it's going to get, and I think it was 25%. Now that with all the ups and downs, I'm like, I don't even remember. And then COVID, it's like,
even worse.
These last 5 years have been a blur. But yes, it was either 20 or 25% from products from China.
And who pays that?
Oh, we do.
Oh, what? That is crazy.
I know.
They talk about tariffs on this place, on this place, on this place. And I feel like that dialogue that is misleading to someone who doesn't understand. It's not on them, it's on us. And I'm like, why don't people understand that? And people might ask, well, how is it us? The brand pays for it and then they charge the people. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm like, I just wish more people would understand that.
Yeah, like if we have to pay more for a product, we're gonna charge more to the end customer. And I feel like just us going to the grocery store has proven how inflation has it's affecting inflation, because I feel like before I could go to the grocery store and pay like $100 or $150 max and be like set for the week. I spend like $300 plus. I've spent $400 at the grocery store, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. The ending to that was like, how has it been affecting supply chain and vendors?
Vendors have been kind of forced to not bring prices down, but I do have a vendor that is helping us navigate that. So they do offer more like DDP terms, where before we would pick up and then customs and all that would be like we had to handle that. I feel like China always finds a way. So.
And mind you, it's in order to do business, you're saying that they're helping you, like they're helping us.
Yes.
And we're the ones causing the problem.
Right.
It's like, right.
No, it's like we're the problem.
Yeah. It's like, babe, that's where the problem.
But I will say at Cosmoprof, I didn't see as much Chinese vendors show up as they usually do. So I think it's like certain ones are, trying to help us or whatever, and other ones are probably like giving up and like moving on to other countries probably, is what I'm assuming, because I didn't see as many of them, which is kind of scary.
Where do you see the beauty industry headed? Like, what kinds of products or trends are you keeping your eye on?
We spoke about this a little bit, but I feel like everybody's trying to appease to the Gen Zs right now because they are the ones getting the jobs. And us millennials are getting older. It used to be all about us, but now it's about the Gen Zs. So I do see a lot of like branding that is like brighter, like blues and purples and like pinks. And I think that's what everything is for the Gen Z. And I do feel like we do need to pay attention to how they shop, where do they go, what do they buy online, what do they buy in person, because they're very, very different than millennials, like very different.
Do you think that a brand can, an independent brand, a smaller one, do you think that they can target both demographics somewhat successfully, or do you feel like maybe focusing on one is probably the best?
That's interesting. I feel like if I was launch a brand, I would want to attempt to cater to both, because I do feel like there are a certain amount, I think I heard of like 30 or 40% of Gen Zs that feel nostalgic when they see things that are from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like becoming popular the 90s, you know, for Gen Zs. Even though they weren't alive during that time period, they feel the nostalgia.
It's just something
So I'm
about the
like,
aesthetic.
Yeah, I'm like, I think there's something there. Like, you should kind of like try to do both. Like, kind of like cater to like the younger millennials, which were the ones that grew up in the 90s, and like, but also like the Gen Zs in the way that they shop because they have the money too. So
Definitely. What's HM Agency or Innovate the Label working on today? What are maybe some big projects or something that you're currently working on that you maybe want to share? Well, if you want to share with the class.
Well, I would say like it's not easy juggling two very different kinds of companies, and but I kind of have always been that type. I know what people in the industry suggest is always to like hyper focus on one thing so it could become this really great big thing. But I feel like for me, both are really important. I would say right now I spend most of my time on the day to day on Innovate. I kind of want to not change it completely, but I do feel like HM needs a little, because like you found us through social media, but I don't really put a lot of my time on social for HM.
True.
Which I probably should, because then I would probably meet more brands like you.
I did tell you about the group chat that I'm in with other like indie brands.
I do see a lot of communities nowadays, whereas before we didn't really have lots of niche communities. But I would say for you, Latinas in Beauty group would be a good one, because that's where I kind of like got a few of my newer clients from. And it's not just for brands. It's like anybody that is in beauty, a makeup artist, a brand owner, you know, somebody that works in corporate beauty industry or whatever. And like, it's a bunch of people just trying to help each other out.
Definitely. That's the cool part about where social media is today.
Yeah.
You know, because I was very shook. I was like, wait, there's this group chat with all these brands. I've seen sometimes, like, there's like this document where it's like, this is the list of clients that have really screwed us over. Do not let them, don't fulfill their order, cancel it. Yeah, I literally opened it. Someone was like, hey, who has that list? And then I was like, what? I opened the Google Doc and I'm like, wow, I need to add a name on there. Oh my.
Wait, now I want to see the list.
I'll show you. I feel like the one I saw maybe had like 6 people. So I don't know. I don't know if there was another one, or I don't know. Like, oh, we're having this issue with Shopify. Maybe like, have you guys seen this, or just anything going on? It's really cool that all these people are seeing it at once.
Yeah.
I need to get more onto that. Like
You
I said, I haven't been focusing on the brand.
Yeah.
So, but
it's good to find people that are dealing with like the same, because it's hard. Like, it's hard to find people that are going through the same thing as you are. Well, for Innovate, we're potentially thinking about launching something. But I guess I'll just say it's a brand.
You're
a
hearing it here
brand,
first.
but I'm very, I'm weighing out my pros and cons to see whether or not it makes sense for me fully, because it would be a third child that I don't know I'm ready for right now.
And yeah, I mean, like I was telling you earlier, I'm like, I would love to see that.
Yeah.
But also just knowing like the agency and Innovate are 2 different things.
Yeah.
So it's not there. I started my brand with the eyeshadow palette, shirts, and like something else. You know what I mean? And then it got to a point where I was like, do I make an apparel brand or do I make a beauty brand? And to be quite honest with you, maybe if I wanted to make money, I maybe should have went with the apparel, because it was kind of like, it was an easier sell. I'll sell you a shirt that has, you know, your state on it. It's so much easier. And part of me now is like,
dang, did I do the right thing?
Did I do the right thing in that sense? But the other part of me knows that, like, well, I was then making the shirts. I was miserable doing that. I didn't like to do that. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
It was easy for me to design it and put it up, but then it was becoming more, and I'm like, I don't want to do it. So I don't feel like I made the bad decision, but I know that there was money there that I said no to, which is like crazy. But
so that's kind of like an issue I'm kind of facing right now too, because I'm like, if I do a brand separate from Innovate, then I could probably potentially see a lot of money, because of like I have connections and like I can, you know, whatever. But if I do like an Innovate the Label collection brand, so it is branded Innovate the Label, it's kind of like easier. It probably will be funner, and I don't have to like, you know, I don't know. So it's like,
yeah.
But I'm like, there's probably not gonna be a lot of money there, because it's like being ran through Innovate, which is still growing. It's not a major retailer everywhere, you know, and obviously I can't sell Innovate the Label brand to Target, you know, because it's like conflict of interest, is like, you know, so it's kind of like I'm at that point where I'm like, should I just do Innovate the Label collection? Like it would be named something different, but still branded Innovate the Label, or should I do a new brand that has nothing to do with Innovate, but like Innovate carries it and sells it?
No, now that you say that, if you want my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I didn't think about letting it breathe on its own. If I were you, maybe that's what I'd do, because, like you said, it wouldn't. If it's not attached to Innovate, it has the opportunity to be anything.
Right.
So yeah, it's harder to start, right? Girl, it's hard to start, but it could also be anything. You could sell it, you know, to other retailers and stuff like that. And you know, we've been talking about my brand and my struggle with trying to create a Latino, Latinx like heritage brand, and like is not that is it worth it. I love it, but it's just so hard to do. It's so limiting, especially when you feel like you maybe don't get all the support that you would like to. That makes it harder, but. So, and that was my question to you. I'm like, well, would it be like that? Would it be tied to a certain heritage, or would it not? And I'm kind of thinking like, maybe it shouldn't, just so it can be like like its own different thing, you know, and like maybe like you said, it would be very successful,
right? Yeah,
because you'd be playing the game,
right?
And you're in a really good position to do so. Right. So you're not wrong where it's like, maybe I should go through that door.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking about it with you, I'm like, maybe I think that sounds more.
It's kind of the same thing in a way for us, because it's like, why do we have to choose whether we want to do a Latina branded name versus just being a ghost Latina in the beauty industry, you know? Like, why is that a thing? And when are we going to have our moment, you know? Where we can just be out there and be Latina.
And we just can't keep waiting. Yeah.
But it's like how you said, you kind of like, unfortunately, have to play the game if you want it to be successful, because the people are the decision makers in those retailers or in those places that give you those opportunities are, I guess, in their analytics of like their consumer base, feel like people would be kind of turned off. Like certain people would be turned off if it is like, you know, packaging has Spanish on it. I think it always comes down. I know, it comes down to like money path, or what makes you happy path, or
that's very true. I don't know.
I wish I had the answer.
The question, yeah. If someone wanted to break into product development, where would they even start?
Definitely, I would say joining communities could be a really big one. Maybe internships could be another one, if you can afford to be in an internship.
Yeah, want to get paid free 99?
Yeah, free 99. Yeah, like getting out there more, meeting people, LinkedIn connections, beauty trade shows. Like you're always, if you put yourself out there, you're gonna meet the right people, I feel like. And there's a lot of people out there that want to help. So
for anyone listening who's chasing a big dream but feeling like it's not possible for someone like them, what would you say to them right now?
Wow. I would say that I've felt like that before, like growing up, and it's still so surreal to me today. Like thinking back about like the Helen of like her teenage years. Like if you were to tell me that I would have my own agency and my own retail store, e-com, like I'd be like, you're lying. Like there's no way. There's no way. And I feel like if you are committed enough and like, not even, I feel like where I got to where I am today is like seeing certain opportunities and not missing them. Because I feel like everybody's given like certain, you know, doors. And it's like, if you don't go through it, you know, when you need to, or miss that opportunity, then that's probably why you're not, you know, getting to where you think you should be. But I also feel like nothing is given. Like I don't like people that expect things to just be given to them. I struggle with my kids about my older one about that. I feel like she wants everything just kind of like handed to her, and I'm like, no. And there's something beautiful about you being able to achieve those things without it being given to you too.
Very true. It makes them more valuable.
Yes.
Yeah. Very true.
You appreciate them more.
I mean, kind of segue into my last question. If the younger you could see this video now, what would you say to her?
Girl, it's gonna get better. Yeah, I would just be like, oh man, oh, it's so tough because that girl was hurting. There's just so much that I went through at that young age. But I feel like I said, the trials and tribulations are gonna make you who you are one day, and it's gonna be worth it. And you weren't meant to live this uncomfortable life, girl.
Yeah.
Like you didn't just think that. It's for real.
By that feeling, you mean like, can you explain more about that feeling? You mean that uncomfortableness? Like,
Yeah, like I didn't have money like growing up, so it's like we struggled, especially after I had my daughter, because again, like I didn't have a car, and when I did, it was like a hoopty. But thinking back on it, I'm like, I really loved that car. Like I appreciated that car more than I think, like, and it kind of like makes me feel like I don't like, if I ever do make millions of dollars or whatever, like I'm gonna be okay driving a Toyota Corolla of like 1995, because it doesn't really, I don't need to have something luxurious to make me feel like worthy.
I stand by that.
Look outside the window and look at what I'm driving.
I'm gonna check out. I didn't see. I'm not a car person. I feel like there's nothing wrong with if you want to treat yourself to a luxury. That's cool. For me, the way I see it, I'm like, girl, the car just needs to work and be good enough. And if you want to, you know what I mean. But
yeah,
I do feel like there are people who focus on appearances, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm glad I don't think like that, because girl.
And I also kind of like that, like, if I'm driving a hoopty and, like, you treat me some kind of different way, then that's who you really are. So I kind of, like, want to see who you are, not just because I'm wearing something fancy or whatever.
We finally reached the end of the video. Where can people find you to continue to follow your journey?
So you guys can reach out to us at info@itshmagency.com, or if you would like to reach out to Innovate, you can reach out to community@innovatethelabel.com.
And this is the same email that like potential clients can hit you up? Okay,
yes.
Good. Perfect. So again, I want to thank you so much for the opportunity to get to talk to you, to get to know you. This has been long overdue. I
know. Oh my God. But no, thank you actually, because I cannot wait to see this when it comes out.
Me too. That's funny. Yeah, I really can't wait. If you guys at home got something out of today's conversation or learned something from Helen's journey, please let us know. And please support and share the video. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for upcoming Hispanic Heritage Month content, which I will be working on to get it out. Yes. All right.
Bye.
See ya.